The Nintendo Switch. Looks pretty cool, right? I'm going to be letting you know my thoughts after having it in my hands and in its dock for about a week now. Hello everybody, it's George from ShopTo and welcome to my 1 week with the Nintendo Switch video. Today I'm going to be talking about some top tips, some of the things I've really noticed that stand out about the Switch, and my overall impressions of the console after playing it about every day for a fair amount of time for a week now. So I was lucky enough to get my hands on the Switch last week and I have been playing it every day since. This has given me enough time to learn about the Switch's unique features and some of the things you may not know about the system, as well as play the 2 games I have and get used to all the different modes that you can play the Switch in. So I'm firstly just going to talk a little bit about things you may not know about the system that I feel may not have been covered by other people already. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are all the different button noises within this console. This console has some fantastic UI noises as well as a really clean UI overall. The buttons, when you're like logging in, require you to press the same button 3 times, and each button, pretty much each button, has its own noise, and I find that really nice. Also on the main menu, each little icon along the bottom has its own noise, as well as pressing your profile in the top left makes a truly delightful sound that I feel is I would actually turn on the Switch, listen to that sound and turn it off again. Is that nice? Another thing to mention quickly is the fact that the fan on the actual system feels like it doesn't do anything when you've got it in handheld mode, which is kind of weird because I thought that would be the mode where it would need to use the fan. But when you put it in the dock, the fan does come on and it is kind of loud. It's not going to be as loud as my PS4 from however many years ago on launch day that sounds like a 747 taking off every time I put a game in, but it is noticeable. I was impressed with how instantaneous the switch between the handheld and the dock is. You literally put it in and it's there on the screen, or you take it out and it's there on the tablet. I think that is fantastic. I know we saw that in the promotional material, but it is actually that fast, which is really impressive. I would also just like to mention I have not had any left Joy-Con sync issues that everybody else seems to be having, but once again I have really either only been playing with the Joy-Cons attached, where I don't think it actually needs to sync because obviously it's physically attached to the console, and with the Pro controller. So I haven't had that much experience playing with the Joy-Cons detached. I have played 1-2 Switch and I didn't have any problems there, but I haven't overall had any problems with this desyncing issue. Okay, so moving into my top tips. Now first up, I've got tips on which accessories you should get. So the one thing I recommend that everybody should get is a case. It is quite a big console, especially if you've got the Joy-Cons attached on the side, and obviously it's got that really nice big screen. And I do feel kind of worried about taking it out with me, especially if I've got it in a bag full of other things. So I managed to find a 10-inch tablet case that I had for my old tablet, and I've been sliding it in there. It fits just about right, but I would strongly recommend getting a official Switch case. I'd go for one that has some sort of storage for your cartridges and separate Joy-Con storage, so it's not going to be too long. So you can actually take the Joy-Cons off and put them somewhere else. I have seen a few official Nintendo ones that look like that, but I would definitely recommend looking into a case. Next up, the Pro controller. Do you need one? I'm going to say yes, unfortunately. The puppy dog controller is functional, but it does feel a little bit odd. It's very small and square, which doesn't feel very ergonomic, if I'm honest. It does the job. Like, if you don't want to spend the extra £60 or however much it is for the Pro controller, you will be fine with the puppy dog Joy-Con grip controller. But I do recommend picking up the Pro controller, especially to play games like Zelda when you've got it in the dock, because it feels just so much nicer. The buttons are much better. It feels like a proper console game when you're playing it with the Pro controller, whereas the buttons on the Joy-Con grip are obviously the ones from the Joy-Cons, which aren't bad when you're playing handheld, but when you're playing console, it does really make a difference to have that Pro controller. So I would strongly recommend, if you're going to be playing Zelda or if you're going to be playing like FIFA later on or anything like that, definitely pick up yourself a Pro controller if you can find one. I don't know if they're in stock or not. Another tip I've got is to be really careful with the kickstand. It does do its job very well, don't get me wrong, but it does feel a little bit weak. I haven't tried pulling it too hard. I've always been very gentle with it, but it does feel like it could snap off, so be extra careful with that. Another tip I have is for attaching the Joy-Con straps onto the side of the Joy-Cons. They may be a little bit stiff to start with, so don't be worried about that, because I had that problem as well if you saw my unboxing. But after a few uses, the rails on both the grip and the, both the strap and the Joy-Con will become a lot looser and easier to attach. But make sure you're putting the right one on. So if you look on the strap, you have a plus icon at the top that needs to match the plus on your Joy-Con, or the minus and the minus on your other Joy-Con. Don't be fooled. You can like flip them over and put them on the wrong way up, which is kind of weird, but it can be done. And then I don't know if you manage to get them off or not, but that is an issue. I don't know whether Nintendo are going to fix that or something, but you can get it wrong, and if you do get it wrong, it could be costly. You may have to pick up some new Joy-Cons. Another thing regarding the Joy-Con strap is do not forget to press the little white clip at the bottom of the strap, like plastic unit, when you attach it. Otherwise you may have a Joy-Con flying into space wherever you're throwing it, because you obviously may not be throwing it into a TV like you would the Wii, but you may have a flying Joy-Con around your room, which you do not want. Another tip I have, it's a very small one: make sure that you hear the actual physical click of the Joy-Cons going into the side of the system, because you do get the Nintendo Switch signature like noise, but don't be fooled by it, because it makes that noise before it's securely clipped in. So make sure you're pushing the Joy-Cons all the way to the bottom until you feel that mechanical physical click. Then you know they're in place and they're not going to become detached. Another small thing I have noticed is that the Wi-Fi isn't overly strong on the system. This isn't a problem because my Wi-Fi router is quite far away, but my PS4, I guess you could say it's had some years to get used to it, so its signal strength is higher. But I get 1 bar signal on my Switch, and I get like 2 or 3 on my phone, and 72% signal strength on my PS4 through Wi-Fi. So do note this. It may cause a few issues if you're playing far away from the router, but I'm sure you won't encounter these issues. I have got a few walls in the way and stuff, and as I said, all these other systems have had years to get round the walls and get used to the signal and stuff like that. But you may notice that. A few other top tips: press and hold the home button to access a mini menu, which will allow you to access power options and sleep mode and airplane mode on the fly without having to go into settings. If you need to see the battery percentage, press and hold or tap, I think it is, on the battery icon in the top right, and it will give you the percentage below. That is really, really useful because there is no way of seeing that otherwise. Moving into my thoughts for the system, do I like it? Yes, of course I like it. It's such a nice thing to have with you. If you're out and about and you just want to play a game, you look at your phone and you're like, I've only got 30% charge left on this. Do I really want to use that on a game that's not great? No, of course you don't. You want to whip out your Nintendo Switch and play a fully fledged AAA game like Zelda on the go with the Joy-Cons attached on the side, which, as I've mentioned before, feels good. It's not uncomfortable or anything like that, which I was kind of worried about because it does look quite big, quite thin, and not very ergonomic. But it does feel good. It feels better than a 3DS in my opinion, because they kind of dig into my hands, whereas the Switch being a little bit bigger and more curved does feel great. So it's a very, very nice thing to have with you when you're out and about. Battery life, I haven't encountered any issues, although I have noticed it does take quite a while to charge. I don't know if that's just me with my phone that charges kind of quickly. It's not got fast charge, but it can charge all the way to the top in like an hour and a half, whereas the Switch is going to take about 2.5 to 3 hours to charge all the way up, which kind of sucks if you're on the go. And the power usage by the system, I also mention, takes more than the charge you'll put in, especially by a USB. But if you use the included plug, which is like the power supply for the dock, that will match the power usage and you will gain a small amount of charge whilst playing. But if you are using USB, unfortunately, it's going to drain the battery faster than you can charge it. Moving into dock mode, I really like playing it in the dock. As I did mention earlier, the graphics aren't as sharp because they are on a bigger screen, obviously, depending on the size of your TV. I don't think anyone's going to have a TV smaller than the actual system. I'm joking, of course they're not. But if you're playing this on a 50-inch TV, the graphics aren't going to look as impressive because they are stretched on that screen, whereas on the 720p screen they run perfectly and look really, really good on there. But it does look good nonetheless on my 32-inch TV through the dock and through my Elgato. It looks great as well. But I do also like playing it in handheld mode because obviously you can take it out and about. It just feels really nice. You can sit on your bed, you can sit downstairs on by the TV watching TV, and it's not like on the TV, if you know what I mean. And it just gives you that extra ability to play games more, which is what I overly really like about the Switch. Do I like the Joy-Cons? Yes, I think they're fantastic. They allow you to do certain things that you wouldn't have been able to do with a regular handheld, such as the motion sensors, the IR sensor, the HD rumble, the taking them off and using them in the puppy dog controller. I don't know why I keep calling it that. It's the Switch grip controller, and it just offers new possibilities, new ways to play, that the Switch itself is kind of like its USP. Like, there's so many ways you can play the Switch, and that, I think that is just genuinely its key feature. Like, you could take this anywhere and find a way to play it. You don't have to carry the dock around with you all the time, because you can play it in kickstand mode and use the puppy dog or the Pro controller, or you can carry it around and use it as tablet mode and play it with that, or you can use it as motion controls when you're playing with your friends in 1-2 Switch. There's just so many modes that you are able to play. So do I think you need to pick up a Nintendo Switch? I'm going to go with yeah, because there's just so many potential ways to play with this console that it just makes it a unique experience. You could take your favourite games with you on the go, or play them at home with the Pro controller or the puppy dog in the dock. The UI is clean and helps you get to where you're going really easily, and the potential for this system as a whole is phenomenal. The amount of games that are hopefully going to be released that use the motion controls, the infrared sensor, the whole gyroscope and everything like that for this system will hopefully be fantastic, and I can't wait to see what future releases are. But as of right now, yes, I do think you need to get a Nintendo Switch. Make sure you're picking up Zelda and or 1-2 Switch if you want to get that game. I have a review for both of those games coming out hopefully around the time that this video is going up, or this article, if you're reading it on the article, is going up, so you can check that out as well. But definitely pick up Zelda, because Zelda is great. So overall, as I said, the Switch, go grab one. I think it's great. It's a great new system, and I think hopefully everybody else is going to like it and it will sell well, and we'll get some pretty good games from it from third-party developers, as well as your obvious fantastic first-party Nintendo games in the future. My name's been George. You can check out everything you need down in the description. I'll also have an article that accompanies this video if you want to read what I've just said instead of watch this entire video all the way through. So check that out down there. I'll also leave links to the Switch and the accessories I've mentioned in this video down there as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in a video very soon.